Alright, cool. Well, that means I'm gonna have to give you the food so I can get on the bed prim and proper.
Is it already recording?
Yep.
Alright, so Ali is encouraging me to do more videos. I don't see myself as a relationship guru or a relationship master. I just know I'm happier when she's happy and she's not upset with me. So I try to do things that show my appreciation and that I love her. There we go. I taught her that. Although it may still be showing. We're trying to hide vagina right now.
I'm gonna just sit like this.
Okay. Alright, so it's Valentine's Day and
Well, Valentine's Day is tomorrow.
okay, Valentine's Day is tomorrow. And I don't know, there's a lot of lonely people out there, men and women. And I don't know exactly how to tell people to fix that. Besides, that your vibration will attract to you something that's going to match your energy, right? So,
Can I say something? Loneliness sometimes is the key to finding yourself and bettering yourself. You're supposed to use that time to do your internal work. That's just my opinion for women.
I agree. I think that's good advice for men and women. Because before me and you got in a relationship, I was single for a long time, like some years.
How many years?
Oh shit, I don't know. I don't know. Let's see, let me count. I think I was definitely single when I graduated. When did we start dating? Like last year?
We met in, all I know is you were 27 when I met you. I was 21.
Okay. So she was 20, I was 27, she was 21. You were 21?
Mm-hmm.
Damn, that's right, I'm 6 years older than you. I was working at Buffalo Wild Wings. It was actually a very interesting period in my life. Sort of wandering aimlessly after college. Because you get like this, you get told the things you're supposed to do. You're supposed to go out here, start a career, meet somebody, have kids, live happily ever after. But I grew real disenfranchised with that whole concept because I was like, yo, these motherfuckers really been lying to us for a long time. But I guess to understand that, you have to go to the beginning of the story. I got dumped by this chick. She broke up with me twice. And during that breakup, or while we were broken up, I started smoking a lot more weed. And I remember one day my mom called me. She just couldn't understand what was going on with me. It's actually funny. She said, LaRon, I want to ask you a question. I want you to be honest with me. I was like, all right, what I got to laugh for? She said, you been smoking them funny cigarettes? And I was like, what? You know what I'm talking about, reefer. And I laughed because I was actually rolling up at that time when she asked me, like, yeah, I have been smoking. Like, yeah. I didn't tell you that.
You didn't tell me that part of the story.
Yeah. So then she went to this whole spiel, you don't need to be smoking, that stuff's not good for you. Blah, blah, blah. But a little later on after that, she called me and she asked me, she was like, well, are you depressed? I was like, no, I'm not depressed. And then when I got off the phone with her, I was like, shit, am I depressed? And I think I was. Well, I know I was. It's weird because I was escaping into like the weed and just doing college stuff, not really thinking about it. But my grandmother died or passed away or moved on, transitioned, however you like to say that, not too long after that breakup. So it was sort of like a lot going on in my life. So I said I need to start doing things that make me happy. So what I decided to do was to go to the bookstore and find a book. And oddly enough, I think the first book that stood out to me, I think it was that Seth Speaks book. That book is actually written by a woman. Her name is Jane Roberts, but she didn't write the book. She channels this entity called Seth, And Seth speaks through her, and he writes out all this information. And that just sent me down this rabbit hole of, like, questioning reality and the things that we've been told about, life and what it is we're supposed to be doing down here. And that made me really question, well, I'm supposed to go and start teaching these kids the same BS that I was taught, and just have them continue in this system that I don't believe in. Like, don't get me wrong, school teachers play a very important role, but they also have to admit the fact that they're a part of that indoctrination, getting kids to buy into that system. So I guess I say all that to say I started reading and researching more, and it's a whole process with that too, because at first you get angry, because it's like, well, these niggas really was lying to me all this time. Like, they must thought I was stupid or something. That's how I was feeling. Like, I wasn't gonna figure this out. So during that process, I moved back to Savannah, and I didn't have a job for a while, but I was like, oh, I can just transfer my job to Buffalo Wild Wings, because I was working at Buffalo Wild Wings in Albany. And it's funny how things work out, because Buffalo Wild Wings is actually where I met Ali. I remember the day she came in, and my frat brother Tristan was working there too, and he had to give Ali to me, like, to be a trainer. Like, and in my mind, I'm throwing my hands like, oh yeah, you know what time it is. Beautiful. She had on the Kobe Bryant jacket, or was it the pants? It was a Lakers jacket. I saw, okay, yeah, she's cool. She fuck with the Lakers. Yeah, they're kind of garbage right now. I don't know why they signed Russell Westbrook, but that's besides the point. What are we talking about? Like, relationships? People being lonely? Alright, so during that period, I was single for a long time, because I was like, well, I need to get myself together emotionally, so whatever happened in my last relationship won't happen in this relationship. Let me, better myself, get to know myself better. So if you're single at the moment, you should really be focusing on, learning yourself. And there's different ways to do that. I did it by going within books that turned me on to, like, numerology. I got a natal chart done for myself. Natal charts are pretty dope. If you know the time and the place that you were born, you can type that in on the internet, and it gives you, like, this breakdown of your personality. And when I read mine, I was like, yo, this is almost scary how accurate this is in some regards. And just me learning myself, learning the things that make me tick, put me in a better place to be able to attract a woman like Ali. Side note, Ali wasn't feeling me the way I was feeling her when we first met. In fact, I used to always, be pushing up on her, trying to talk to her. And she was just like, are you not listening to me? This is not gonna happen. But you see where she is now. And I'm not like I told you so, but.
Should I comment on that?
What are you gonna say?
I want to say the person who you are today, you were not back then.
I was growing. Yeah, I was going through something.
Same for myself. I'm 28 years old now. You met me when I was 21.
College student, yeah, I know those vibes.
So like I said, using that time when you are alone to better yourself, and then once you get to the person who you aspire to be, you attract like energy.
And here's another thing. This is one of those things that may be hard to accept, but the things that happen to us down here on this plane, to a certain degree, is set up by you before you get down here, in a sense. Like, your soul knows what you need to go through to advance yourself. Like Ronald Simmons, Ali, Steve, these are just the bodies that we're riding around in right now. But we have a greater soul, that's just having an experience. So I would say that. So, and then here's another thing you got to figure out. You have to figure out why I chose to go through these things. Good, bad, or indifferent. And trauma is guaranteed to you when you come down here. There's not one of us that makes it out of being a human without experiencing any trauma. So just being a human in general, that's some traumatic shit. Like right now, we're eating these grapes. that seems like harmless, you know, veganism, vegetarianism, all that stuff, save the animals. But grapes are alive. This is a baby grape. Grapes grow on bushes, right? Yeah. This was going to grow up to be a bush until we decided, nah, I'd rather eat you. So you're looking at a couple of baby killers right here. And you know, that seems weird, but that's some real shit. Like when you eat fruit, you're killing a baby. So, you know, put that in your pipe and smoke it. And that goes into the idea of narcissism, and this place that we exist in isn't necessarily a good place.
Relationships.
Okay, relationships make that better. They make that journey just that much easier to bear. Because your spirit or your soul is androgynous. It's not just male and it's not female, it's both. But when you come down into the physical, you split apart. But when you can find, you know, that balance to yourself, your other half, that makes life a lot easier or more bearable or smoother.
Can I ask you a question?
Mm-hmm.
In your definition, what is a relationship guru? You said that you're not one, so what is that?
I say a relationship guru is one of those made up concepts. I don't know if there's any relationships guru. I think there's just people out there who have some good advice. Now, somebody who presents themselves as like always having like the answers, or I'm just the best person, or my relationship is perfect, that's BS. Everybody goes through highs and lows. You know, we go through these periods of waves. So I'll never put myself off as being like a relationship guru. I just know some things that work for me, and it's like a practice. It's like, you know, you get better at it with time.
What's something that's worked for you? Give me your top 3.
I think the first thing that comes to mind is possessiveness. Like you're your own person. Like I don't own you. That's a concept that I guess for especially me as a Scorpio, and like, you know, just what's inherent in our nature, that you really have to embrace that this person isn't obligated to you. She's her own person, her own being on her own journey. And the fact that she's choosing to share that journey with you is what makes it special. So that's one thing. What's 2? 2, knowing that men and women are different for a reason. Like women are so intuitive to where it can be scary. Like they feel things much more deeply than what we feel as men. And on the opposite side of that, men are very much more cerebral. It's like thought process, if this happens, then this happens. So I know there's going to be times where we're looking at the same situation, but it's going to feel different to both of us, or we're going to come across it at a different standing. So trying to find that middle ground, like within all my logic, trying to balance that out with my intuition, that's important. And one more thing, what else? Communication, like communicating with your partner, talking to them, being honest.
Being direct.
Yeah, being direct.
That's the thing, because communication can look all sorts of ways, but we're talking about direct communication. Well, that's my opinion.
Yeah, I was just about to say, you got to find what works for you, because you know, you have some people where it's like you can't say things to them directly because they're too sensitive.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, so you got to find the best way to communicate that works for you and your partner.
And sometimes that gets on my nerves because, you know, I've had friends who I feel like are like that.
Mm-hmm.
And my thing is, do I tippy-toe around things and how I want to say it, or do I give it to them straight and kind of push them into developing? I don't know what it is that they need to develop. Like, look, this is what it is. This is direct.
I feel like it's like a idea of like I said, finding the best way that communication works for them. Sometimes you do have to just rip off the band-aid and say it, but other times there are different ways you can say stuff to it, like to ease them into it, depending on their sensitivity level. Because I know that I'm sensitive to a certain degree, like things that people can say. Well, actually, other people's opinion. I've got to that point where I don't fuck what other people say. People's opinions who are important to me are like people that I love. So like when you say things to me, that weighs on me. That sticks and replays in my mind.
And I think that's a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
Because if I say something to you and I sugarcoat it, your personality, it's not going to penetrate and it's not going to stay with you. It'll just roll off, and then I feel like we have to have the conversation over and over again. But when I give it to you direct and I say it how I'm feeling it, then you take me seriously.
Okay, yeah. Here's another thing. Here's a big thing that help you in your relationships when you get one, or if you are in one. If you wouldn't like your partner doing it, that means you probably shouldn't be doing it yourself. And never forget that. Just think to yourself, how would you feel if they did that? And that'll ease like a lot of the troubles out there. And here's the thing, man. And women can realize this too. Men aren't trained to see the benefits of relationships and what you can get from a good woman. Like, you're programmed from a young age. Go out there, fuck as many women as possible. Just be out there, and then find one day, get married, and say your vows, but have your fingers crossed, and just hope you don't find out that you're cheating. Like it's hard when you've been programmed to do something to just switch that off cold turkey. Just switch that off all of a sudden. So a lot of these times, the men are out here doing things, just operating in our lower nature, not knowing that brings about some consequences that we really don't want to deal with. Like, imagine having a child with somebody that you don't even like. Broken homes, so you're not around. It just makes for a whole lot of trouble. Like, a father not being in the home allows for a lot of bad things to become possibilities in a child's life. And then that child grows up with all this trauma, and they're trying to function as an adult in relationships, and just you got trauma built upon trauma. The amount of sexual assaults that I learned about that women have gone through, it's mind blowing how many women have gone through that type of stuff. And I think that's just an example of how the society that we're living in is pretty sick, that it's such a common occurrence. If you pull 10 women in a room and you ask them about sexual assault, I'm pretty sure 7, I feel like 8 of them will have a story to tell with varying degrees of horribleness. And that's just so sad to me that happens. And then men too. There's a lot of men out here who have been sexually assaulted and don't even know it in a sense. If you're a young child, 9, niggas being 9 years old and losing their virginity. That's wild. I remember my father told me one time, we were living in Hawaii, and my sister's 4 years older than me. I guess she had this friend that my dad could tell was all right, this chick a little bit fast. Or, I don't know if that's the right thing to say, but my dad said, son, she may be ready to show you some things I'm not ready for you to see yet. And in my mind, little me, I'm thinking, I don't want to see whatever she want to show me. What are you talking about? But that's me being, young and immature. You shouldn't be having sex until you're ready to deal with the consequences that come with having sex. I.e., like a child. If you're not ready to support a child, you shouldn't be out there fucking. What do you think?
I'm thinking on that one, because you can say that, but that's really not realistic. And I'm thinking about how the body develops.
Mm-hmm.
And when your sex hormones are, at their peak, all of that is happening before we are technically ready to have children, according to things that you have to do in this society.
But just think if you were being educated on sex, like how we did back in the day in our societies, where it wasn't just like this idea of it's just being done for a lustful nature. It's like sex is much deeper than just two bodies grinding against each other. Like you can really make some magic happen with that energy, and empower yourself as well. But we aren't educated about those type of things. I have a book here by David Deida. It's called The Enlightened Sex Manual: Sexual Skills for the Superior Lover. He also wrote a book that I read called The Way of the Superior Man. I guarantee, I recommend that book to men and women to read because it'll help you better understand men as a whole and women. And one of the things that stuck out to me that he said in that book was that for a man, the number one priority in his life is always going to be what he feels his life mission is. And if he doesn't know what his life mission is, he's going to be kind of all over the place, wandering aimlessly. And it said for a woman, the most important thing for her is always going to be her relationships. And that makes sense, like how you interact with people, like the people that you love, and finding the balance in that. And I don't know, even thinking about sex, like sex feels so good. It's one of the greatest feelings you can have, even that, and even more so when you're like reaching that state of orgasm. And that ecstasy that you feel when you have an orgasm, that's how you feel all the time when you're outside of your body. Like before you came down here and started riding around in this, you were feeling that ecstasy all the time.